Okay, welcome back, friend. We are now going to just begin with the origins of human design, just so that you have a concept of where this whole system began, and you get to then drop into just how powerful this process really can be. So the origins of human design actually began in 1987. And in 1987, what happened is that there was this supernova that took place, so a death of a star. And actually, we just had another one in the year 2020. So it'd be interesting to check out how deeply affected humanity is going to be when I am recording this at this moment. It's a very interesting time here on our planet with the pandemic and the lockdown. And when I look at the human design system and what is being offered up in the program at this moment, it really is about inner truth and being able to accept and appreciate the mutation that is taking place for us. So it'll be interesting to see what all is brought onto our planet from this last supernova and the energy that is actually through the human design system as well. So just to throw that in there, so the origins of human design began in 1987. This mystical event occurred all over the planet, and what happened was the creator, Ra Uru Hu, his real name is actually Alan Krakowski, and he is originally from Montreal, Canada. And Ra Uru Hu had actually chosen to just basically disappear and go to Spain. And in this disappearance, he had this 8-day mystical encounter with what he calls the voice, where he was really told that he was going to be the Clarion. And he comes in on the left angle cross of the Clarion, and he got to introduce this system to the world. Now what's interesting is Ra also had a story where there was another man on the planet, I do not know where he was from, actually had the exact same experience and was not able to mentally deconstruct and, come to a point of understanding what he had downloaded. And this particular person ended up in a mental institution and wasn't able to assimilate the information, where Ra was able to do that. So this is when the human design system was born, and this is where we came to this true Uranian system of self-discovery. So I want you to really grasp these two words, self-discovery. There's nothing outside of you. And I'm going to really hammer that home when we walk through this whole self-mastery course. There is nothing outside of the technology that is outside of your skin. Everything is within the technology of the body. So self-discovery is really this self-mastery that you and I both get to discover through the beauty of the human design system. So human design is a synthesis. It brings in the exoteric nature of the design. So this is where we get quantum physics, biochemistry, and genetics. And what I'm going to do for you is, throughout this self-mastery, I'm going to bring in teachers like Greg Braden and Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton. These people that have come to this place of self-mastery because they have been able to drop into the esoteric nature of their design. So using astrology, the Hindu chakra system, the Judaic Kabbalah, and the Chinese I Ching. So bringing this, and then they are also scientists and doctors, where they can bring in today's understanding of quantum physics and biochemistry and genetics. And what I love about human design is that it marries this stuff. It's not a linear process. This is it's a quantum process. It is on the leading edge of of what we understand to be our nature. So humanity's evolutionary process and journey, what we've done is we've moved from this seven-centered being, so the seven-centered chakra system, where we were Homo sapiens. We now get to drop in and be this nine-centered being that loves to bring in the beauty and understanding of the self-mastery process, where we go from this seven-centered strategic being that was very linear, that was survival-focused, to this nine-centered being, which is Homo sapien intransitus. And this intransitus piece means we are marrying this right and left being. The right being very receptive. I call them like SpongeBobs, versus the seven-centered, very linear focused, moving forward, survival oriented. And the right being is here to have the experience. And there's this marriage that is taking place, this mutative energy that took place on our planet in 1781 brought this energy to us so that we could experience life in a whole new way, that we weren't here just in survival mode. So most of the world doesn't have to just be in survival mode. There is still a great faction that does, but most people do not need to do that. What I love the most is that, we are made of stardust. We are the universe, we are the quantum, we are the macro system within a micro system, and then our human body is actually the macro system for all the cells and the atoms and matter and energy that's within this bubble of biology and that micro system. So there's this beautiful infinite energy that flows through and beyond us. So the stars and neutrinos, when the explosion took place, the whole solar system felt this. Anytime there is a star that explodes or implodes, there is going to be the rest of the solar system gets to process that information. So what took place is Ra always talked about these neutrinos. Stars and neutrinos. Basically, neutrinos are the breath of the stars. They're the information packets, these little tiny information packets that flow through everything. And these little tiny pieces of information allow us to connect to the consciousness field, connect to the matrix in a whole new level. And Ra was speaking about this right after his encounter. And neutrinos were chatted about and talked about in the scientific community, but nobody had indicated that they had mass. Until I think it was 1992, I want to say, that there was a study and a confirmation that, neutrinos actually have mass. So it's like they have this little tiny packet of information to share with us. And what these neutrinos do is they actually flow to and through Earth, and they flow to and through our bubble of biology. And they're providing us with information and or conditioning. And we're going to talk a lot about wisdom versus conditioning when we walk through this whole self-mastery process. So through those flow of neutrinos, they flow through our DNA so that we then get to experience life in a whole new fashion, because we can accept and understand that they're bringing us this information. So what takes place with human design is, if you take a look at your chart, which I really hope that you've printed it off, There are stars, that provide us with information based off of these neutrinos, and then these neutrinos actually flow through the planets of our solar system and then eventually flow through us and provide us with whatever packet of information needs to be processed at that time. So the prenatal imprint, the unconscious imprint, is actually 80 degrees prior to birth. This gives us the actual information for the physical body. And the natal imprint is the conscious. This is provided at birth, and that is the black on the human design body graph, and the unconscious is the red. And then there's this quantum that comes together versus any other system that has been provided to humanity. Human design is the only one that actually marries the physical body with the psychology. So we have body, mind, and then in amongst the two quantums, we actually end up with our spirit / soul understanding. So when you have your human design body graph, what takes place is that there are 64 codons in the human DNA. Now there's also 64 hexagrams in the Chinese I Ching, and those hexagrams are correlated to a gate, which then come into the mandala. So let's take a look at this. So here's your body graph. Most people see the body graph. A lot of people have never actually seen their mandala. I believe that you can get that view if you need to have that view through mybodygraph.com. And with the body graph, what happens is that when there is an activation, you will notice that there's going to be different gates or traits or channels in your body graph that are defined, and those traits and gates come through a lot of information. So there's the I Ching, which is the hexagrams that are on the outside. They provide information. The astrological understanding also gives us a little packet of information, and then the body graph itself is composed of the 9 stars and the 64 gates. So the gate activation, sorry, I said astrological. What I wanted to say is the planetary, because we really don't touch on the astrological stuff in the human design system. We more so concentrate on the planets and the hexagrams. So I apologize for that. So basically an activation of a gate. So whatever is highlighted in your chart, you will have a hexagram, there'll be a gate, it'll come through an astrological part of the houses, I guess, or the signs, and then it will use a planet to bring that activation. So at this point in time, whenever this particular person was born, the sun happened to be in the 13th gate, and that sun will then be highlighted in the body graph. So anytime there is something either red or black highlighted in your body graph, what that is indicating to you is that that is where the planet was when you were either born, if it's black, or 80 degrees prior to when you were born, if it's red. So here's another look at the Rave mandala. So this is what I'm discussing here. So we have the design, we have the red, which is again that unconscious piece. So a lot of people go like, explain to me what unconscious is. Really what unconscious is that energy is something that you express through your physical body. You express it, whether that be verbally, maybe it's, body language, whatever that might be. other people will recognize this energy of yours because it is unconscious to you, okay? It is this energy that once they go, hey, you know, maybe, for example, this being here, the 50th gate or the 50th trait and the 6th gate or 6th trait in their body graph. Both of those are unconscious. Now, this 6th gate, actually, what the whole point of the 6th gate is this. It is here to be a, it is the pH. It's our diaphragm. It either allows someone to penetrate into its emotional aura or not. So the 6th gate is kind of like a gatekeeper of the emotional system. So here, that's an unconscious aspect for this particular person. So maybe one of their friends says, you know, I feel like I can never get in. I feel like we're never really that close. Well, that's that 6th gate, you know, either providing a barrier or a wall or not. And again, it all depends on the type of the person. So whether they're a manifestor, a generator, manifesting generator, a reflector, or an advisor or slash projector. Because everything builds on top of each other. However, that 6th trait is unconscious to this particular being. Now, this particular being is a generator. So they're open and enveloping. Their auric field is actually open and enveloping. But they still have this protective barrier, per se. I don't really even like to use the word protection. But it's this, they touch or they envelop somebody's energy and they're like, I'm not going to let you in emotionally, or I am going to let you in emotionally. But that's not something that's conscious to you. It is taking place for you without your conscious knowing of your mind. But once you actually know human design, what you will see is that you begin to then look retrospectively at yourself and go, I see it. I see how these things played out for me. So again, it's a unconscious aspect that is just there. And then when other people say it, there are times where you can recognize it. The conscious activations, this is psychology. So what happens in the human design system, the whole foundation of the human design system is to bring us to a place of decision making. And that decision making then allows for the mind to become uncluttered, to become clear. And because of this, because of the foundational teaching of decision making, and we're going to get into that a lot in self-mastery because that's all this is about, what then takes place is the conscious, the mind, the healthy psychology wants to say, oh, well, this is all I am. This is what I am. All these conscious activations. But really, the marriage between conscious is the quantum of the design. But this healthy psychology says, well, this is who I think I am. The unhealthy psychology, which is the not self, which you're going to hear me talk about, which is anything in the white, that becomes also a massive distraction. And on the mental plane, there's this conditioning field. And then we have the design, so this unconscious activation. So there is a lot happening on a daily basis. However, what we're going to do is we're going to simplify the whole thing. This is just the origins of what it is, what design does, kind of to see the activations in the body graph. So, for example, Pluto is in the 29th gate. Well, here's the 29th gate. But it's actually on both sides. So, the 29th gate is all about the gate of saying yes. It's about making a commitment. And Pluto is our truth and our transformation. So in order for you to really discover who you are, say for this person here, this discovery of who they are in the experience, their truth and their transformation is going to come from what they say yes to and what they commit to, and what they say no to and what they let move past them. That's where their truth and transformation is going to come from. And they are going to do this consciously and unconsciously, because Pluto doesn't move very fast. 508 days it goes around the mandala. So it's in a particular gate and a line for a very long time. So you often will see in these outer planets that the exact same gate is activated on both sides. So we have Pluto. Then here we have Neptune. And the 32nd gate is in both of them, and the 32nd gate is over here. This is about continuity and the transformation within the tribe. And both of those are highlighted by Neptune. However, they're in different lines. So there's going to be a different aspect there. And then when we look at Uranus, the exact same thing is happening. So this person, has 3 of the outer planets all in the exact same gate. So they know it consciously, and unconsciously it's also playing under the surface. But then when we move up here to Saturn, you see Saturn sits in the 44 right there, but it also sits in the 50 here. So unconsciously the discipline on the physical plane in the body is about what kind of intellect are you bringing, what kind of intelligence are you bringing to your survival. And over here, this is about what is your mind alert to, what kind of patterns is the mind alert to, and this is actually the discipline. So being disciplined in alert, being disciplined in the education. Again, I'm kind of going into this a little bit just so that you can see how these start to blend together, okay? So now what are the benefits? There's a lot of information in the human design system, a lot. I have been studying this for many, 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 many years. And I'm in my 8th year at the time that I am recording this. And for me, it really is this, this knowing, having this real deep conceptual understanding, conceptual sense of my frequency, my true self. It was always there. It was always playing out. But it's almost as though human design provides a permission slip to be ourselves, so that we can have compassion for ourselves and compassion for others. So compassion meaning, honoring their true self, but also honoring their not self. And we're going to talk about that in the next slide. But honoring that everybody has a process. Sometimes the conditioning field, the conditioned mind, can be so powerful that we just really have to have compassion for other people. So it helps us make decisions that point us in the correct direction for our life purpose to unfold. All too often I hear, what is my life purpose? Why am I here? We ask that question a lot as human beings. And what I love is that once we unclutter the mind from making decisions, what you'll notice is that the life purpose is playing out in your life. It's just opening your eyes and being able to see that, coming to this awakening, this deep awakening, and then letting that unfold and not getting in the way. And when I say not getting in the way, it's about not making decisions from the conditioning field, because the conditioning field is very powerful. You know, it's like the conditioning field wants to homogenize you. It wants to put you in a box with everybody else. And what design is saying is, listen, we are all autonomous beings. Let us be autonomous. Let us bring our individuated strengths, our individuated skills to life. And let's honor that in everyone so that everyone's life purpose can flow through. So it lets us actually move in the harmony and the flow of life. You know, right now there's the big buzzwords, you know, the flow state. Well, the flow state happens when we allow for that frequency that is your human design chart. It holds a frequency. That frequency is playing out in your bubble of biology, and it is exuding to other people, right? Other people recognize this information from you. And when we can just be in that flow of that energy, in that flow of your own life, all of a sudden the resistance can go away. The resistance of the conditioned mind, where we're basically deceiving ourselves through that conditioning. And I'll talk about that later on as we walk through. But this deception is the conditioned mind has us trying to be like other people instead of honoring and being truthful to our own frequency. So it lets us find our right place and attract the right people and opportunities. Lets us operate with a correct frequency so that our cognition works properly. And what is cognition? Cognition really is being able to perceive the movie. Okay. When we talk in human design language, and actually there so many teachers now are saying this exact same thing. We are here to witness ourselves in this game of life. And in order to witness ourselves in a way that is really healthy for us, is to declutter the mind, let the decisions be made from the intelligence and the beauty and the feeling and the conceptual, or the understanding and nuanced understanding of our physical bodies. And then the clarity that we see the world comes through. And right now you might be like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm seeing the world totally clearly. Well, it's about witnessing yourself in the world and then being able to recognize and see that at a whole new level. Lets us transform from our conditioning. So again, I'm going to talk about that actually right now. True self. This is our vital energy. Anything that is defined in the body graph. So anything that is colored in. This is your vital energy. Okay? This is what you can rely on. It is there. Sometimes, for example, here it might be dormant. It might just be waiting to interact with somebody, okay? Or it might be a full life force that provides you with a consistent energy. It's constant. It's always there. So one of my mentors says, you know, this is like the furniture in your house. It's always there. It's in the same place, and it's consistently sits there. But the not self, this is actually our potential, and I'm really going to talk about this a lot. I'm going to blend with you in the self-mastery movement. I'm going to blend all of the information that I have accumulated over the last 8 years of studying human design and experimenting with it and having clients experiment with it. And that is this experimentation piece of letting the life flow and being able to see your own potential based off of your strengths, your skills, and anything that. So the not self can be two things. It can allow for you to amplify the distortion field, or it is a place for great wisdom. And the potential here is a life fulfilled like no other by attracting resources, by attracting potential partners or information. Because when this energy is allowed to operate in a way that is healthy and exudes health and wellness and strength and empowerment, then the not self can be a place of beautiful wisdom where those neutrinos that I talked about earlier, those neutrinos just flow through and you get to experience the information instead of grabbing onto it, holding onto it. The not self wants to just hold on, tries to push you into thinking that what isn't yours, you need to hold on to it and become it or bend to it. And human design says, no, let's move only from our true self and then let the not self be our place of wisdom. And we do that through decision making. So again, let's just take a look at an example. This you may have already, know. So the mandala, the undefined center is here. Defined center is here. A totally open center would be an example here where we don't have any hanging gates. These are what we call hanging or dormant gates. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 undefined centers and 1 totally open center, and then 1, 2, 3 defined centers. And the defined centers happen because there's a gate on this side and a gate on that side. They're both activated by planets, and they come together to create this life force energy. Sorry about that. So now let's take a look at comprehending the mandala and the 9 centers, just so that you can see it. So this information actually comes from the Living Your Design workshop. I am a Living Your Design teacher, and from the International Human Design School. So these are their slides. So the mandala actually has 9 centers within the body graph. So we have the head center. The head center is actually called the inspiration function when we speak in career and business terms. The ajna center is the conceptualization function. So they're centers and then they function in a particular way. So the head center functions as inspiration. The ajna center functions as conceptualization. The throat center functions as communication and action. The G center functions as identity and direction. The heart or ego center functions as a place of willpower. The splenic center functions as a place of instinctive knowing. The solar plex functions as emotional intelligence, and the sacral center functions as an energy resource. The root center functions as drive and stamina. And you don't have to write any of that down right now. We are going to walk through all of these very much in depth when we talk about centers and we get to that module. So the reason you're just given that brief understanding of the centers is so that we can talk about these crystals and the monopole. So when Ra Uruhu had his experience with the voice, the voice talked about crystals and talked about fractals and geometry, and really allowed that structure of life through that geometrical understanding that we have of our quantum. And it dropped in these qualities so that we can have a conversation about. So in the head center, in the inspiration center, and this is what we call the personality crystal. Now again, if you look at your human design chart, you'll notice that again there is the personality activations. The personality crystal is really the witnessing power, the witnesser, and that healthy psychology to express and be that, I'm going to use the lingo of outer authority for other people. So again, let's drop into why human design was created. Human design was created so that we can have a simplified tool to make decisions. We take those decisions away from the conditioned mind and we drop it into the intelligence of the physical body, because the physical body has this auric field around it. And if you want to do some investigating on this, look at the Heart Math Institute, I believe it's .org. And what they've done is they've taken the electromagnetic field, and actually they take it of the heart, okay? So the actual organ heart. And that electromagnetic field of the organ heart is actually 6 seconds into the future, and then the mind has to catch up. The electromagnetic field of the mind then catches up. So the whole point of the personality crystal is to witness the experiences that the physical body is having. And because we take the decision making away from the mind, we put it into the body is making the decision on what it interacts with, and then the mind can witness that again, because the mind is 6 seconds behind the body. So that personality crystal is the healthy psychology, so that we witness and then we can express our experience, express the logical state of it, express the inner knowing of that life's mysteries that can come down. So again, the simplistic piece of design, take the decision making away from the conditioned mind, drop the decision making into the intelligence of the physical body, and then use that inspiration personality crystal to then witness the experiences that the physical body's having. The design crystal sits in the ajna. So again, what's in the ajna? The ajna center is the pituitary glands, and these pituitary glands are they have a lot to do with our hormones, and our body needs to have balanced, healthy hormones. So the design crystal really is connected to the physical body. So that's the unconscious side. And when we allow for the mind, the conditioned mind, to not make decisions, you just witness all the conditioning, you witness all the wisdom that happens, then all of a sudden the physical body can interact, and the mind can witness it. Now, what's holding all of this together is this. So you have the design side, which is the red in your body graph. The personality crystal is the black. That's actually the healthy psychology. And then the magnetic monopole actually holds this in place so that the experience of the body and of the witnesser can marry and like be held together. And this monopole really is the driver. It is the direction in space. It's our geometry, and it's our attraction space for love. Now, don't get caught up in, oh, I do or do not have these colored in my body graph. None of that matters. We all have a design crystal. We all have a personality crystal. We all have a design crystal, and we all have a magnetic monopole. Because we're here, we're human, you're listening to this. And with that energy that's taking place, we then become undistracted, because we can follow the decisions of the body. Let the magnetic monopole really help us help us on our geometry. Allow for the GPS of our decision making to guide us, to maneuver on this plane, to navigate on this plane, and the magnetic monopole is really our driver. Now let's take this into a different visual. Say we just look at a car. So the personality crystal is the passenger. It's here to witness the experience. It's here to look out the windows, have a clear perception. So this is like getting the bugs off your windshield, washing those windows so that what we're seeing is clear, clean, and crisp. The design is actually the physical body, right? It's the actual car that is, housing this passenger. And then we have the magnetic monopole. It's the driver. And again, don't get caught up with, I have it defined or undefined. None of that matters. Actually, all three of these I have totally undefined in my body graph. So there's not even one activation here. And it doesn't really matter, because what that is telling me is that no matter what, there's still a personality crystal, there's still a design crystal, and there's still a magnetic monopole. So here's the dilemma. This is the body, and this is who you think you are. So what's really interesting is that our conditioned mind will push us so freaking hard. It'll push that body, and what takes place is that there really is this resistance that happens. So when that conditioning field is trying to make decisions through us, then all of a sudden what will happen is the physical body, again, the electromagnetic field that's around the physical body is already 6 seconds ahead of the conditioned mind, or the mind, period. So if the mind is trying to run the show and the physical body is either moving towards or pulling away from whatever the initiation is, and the mind is running the show, the body will constantly be bracing, because it has no idea what the mind, that conditioned mind, is going to do. Is it going to drag us here or there? And that's why people, I'm not going to say a vast majority, but quite a few people have a heck of a time when they first come into design, because they're like, I cannot get in touch with my decision making. I just can't. Because the conditioned mind is so powerful that the decision making is very foreign to them. But we're going to walk through that. We're going to clear it up. It's going to be so simplistic for you that you're going to love it. So the biverse. This is cute. Ra always say human design, we're not in a universe. We're in a biverse. We're in this duality, because our reality has to have a this and a that. It has to have, the white and the black, the light and the dark. And then we come together in this quantum field of all of it. And we're still discovering so much. But quantum physics is, at this point, the most accurate science on the planet. So when we put it all together, Okay, when we have neutrinos flowing through and we have planets activating gates and traits, we have hexagrams providing information, we have gates providing information, and then we have the body graph compilation here. So there's a lot of information, and you guys are probably gonna go, whoa, because you get to have this program as long as you want it. You get to stay in self-mastery movement for as long as you want. And all of the information I'm going to simplify down for you, and then you get to digest it, you get to have it, you get to go back to it, you get to do what you need to do so that you can really come to this place of self-mastery, because you are so darn unique. I want autonomy for every single human being on the planet, but I can't do it alone. And what's really important is that you're here and you get to assist with that. You get to be, you know, the people on the ground, including myself, that are saying, listen, let's be unique. Let's love ourselves and let's be compassionate for everyone on the planet. Let's make decisions based off of the correctness of who we are, and let's allow for the chaos and distraction of the conditioning field be, you know, so far in the past that it doesn't even pull you one iota into its, you know, powerful energy field. So for each one of these gates, there is 6 lines, 6 colors, 6 tones, 5 bases. You guys will get all of that information. There's 1,080 different variations for every one of these gates. So the origins of human design brings you to a place of amazing, amazing, amazing uniqueness. And your self-mastery comes from that place. Your self-mastery comes from your uniqueness. And then anything that needs to flow through you can then flow through you without any preconceived notion. You get to see it, just to be an acceptance of the flow. Okay, so we are going to stop there for this particular module of the origins of human design. And then we are then going to move on to the centers so that you can grasp this at a really deep level. All right. Thank you.